Hi friends, welcome back on Rare Bucks. Picture this. You reach into your pocket, pull out what looks like a completely ordinary nickel, something you have probably handled hundreds of times without a second thought, and then you look closer. You flip it over, you notice something different, something that should not be there, or something that is missing, or something about the way that coin was struck that makes every serious coin collector in America stop breathing for just a moment. That is the world of Jefferson Nickels, and today we are diving deep into 10 specific dates and mint marks that have quietly been hiding in American pocket change, in old coin jars, in shoeboxes under beds, and in estate collections that nobody has cracked open in decades. These are not just nickels. These are time capsules with real jaw-dropping dollar values attached to them. And the numbers we are about to give you are going to completely change the way you look at every 5-cent piece you ever touch again. We are talking coins that professional graders at PCGS and NGC have certified at values stretching deep into the thousands of dollars. Coins that have crossed auction blocks at heritage auctions and Stack's Bowers and made grown collectors weep with joy. So do not move. Do not skip ahead, because any one of these 10 coins could be sitting in your collection right now without you even knowing it. Stay with us, because this is going to blow your mind. First up, coin hunters. Coming in at number 10 on our countdown is a coin that most people completely overlook because it looks, on the surface, like nothing special. The 1996 Jefferson Nickel, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and carrying that bold letter P mint mark that did not even appear on Philadelphia nickels until 1980, is a coin that has been confusing collectors and rewarding careful observers for decades now. But here is what makes this particular date something worth sitting down and paying attention to. Because the story of this nickel goes far beyond what the casual viewer might expect when they hear the year 1996. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of these coins for general circulation, and the vast majority of them went out into the world and did exactly what they were designed to do, which is circulate, get spent, get dropped, get lost, and generally beat themselves up in the economy of everyday American life. But a small fraction of those original mintage figures survived the way that coin collectors dream about, which means untouched, uncirculated, pulled fresh from mint bags or rolls, and tucked away immediately before a single finger smudge or pocket scratch could touch their surfaces. And when those coins are taken to PCGs or NGC today and submitted for professional grading, what comes back is a certified grade that tells the whole story. Now let us talk about what this coin is actually worth, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. In circulated grades, your average worn 1996 nickel is worth its face value of 5 cents. Nobody is going to retire on a circulated example of this date. But here is where the Jefferson Nickel game changes dramatically, and it is a change that every collector who is serious about this series absolutely understands. Full steps. Those two words right there are the key to unlocking the real money inside Jefferson Nickels. When the reverse of a Jefferson nickel, specifically the steps on Monticello, the historic Virginia home of Thomas Jefferson, depicted on every reverse of this series since 1938, shows 5 or 6 complete fully separated razor-sharp steps with no weakness, no merging, and no die fatigue. That coin earns the full steps designation from the grading services. And that designation does not just slightly increase the value, it transforms it entirely. A 1996 Jefferson Nickel in MS65 full steps has sold at auction for values pushing into the range of $8,000 to $12,000, and in the highest certified grades with the F's designation, you are looking at a coin where a single specimen can represent a 5-figure conversation at a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. Errors on this date also carry serious weight, and double die varieties, off-center strikes, and broad-struck examples from 1996 Philadelphia have crossed auction blocks at values ranging from $1,500 to well over $6,000 depending on the severity and the certification. This is a coin hiding in your change jar that could be worth a down payment on a car. That is not hyperbole. That is the Jefferson Nickel full steps market in 2024. Now before we move to number 9, here is your preview of what is coming next, and trust us. The next coin on this list has a collector story attached to it that goes back to a specific era in American numismatics when a particular Denver Mint coin started showing up at shows and auctions with values that made seasoned dealers do a complete double take. Number 9 is a Denver coin, a date that most people have seen 1,000 times, and a story about mint quality, rarity, and the kind of value explosion that makes this hobby endlessly addictive. You do not want to miss it. Next up, coin hunters, now we are at. Number 9 on our list is the 1987D Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint, and this is a coin that deserves far more respect than the average American coin roll hunter has historically given it. When you talk about 1987 in American history, you are talking about a year of enormous cultural and economic energy, and the Denver Mint was cranking out millions of nickels to feed a growing economy that was running hot. The mintage for this date is substantial, and that is part of why so many collectors initially dismissed it. But dismissing the 1987D without understanding the full steps dynamic of Jefferson Nickel collecting is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make in this hobby. Here is the thing about the Denver Mint in this era. The dies being used to strike Jefferson Nickels were being worked hard, and the step detail on Monticello was one of the first things to suffer when a die started showing wear, or when the striking pressure was not precisely calibrated. The result was that the overwhelming majority of 1987D nickels that came out of that mint, even the ones that went directly from the mint into collector hands without ever seeing circulation, have weak or merged steps on the reverse. The full steps population for this date is genuinely thin, and when you go to the PCGS or NGC population reports and look at how many 1987D nickels have been certified with the full steps designation in the top mint state grades, the numbers are stark. The supply is simply not there to meet collector demand. So what does that scarcity mean in real dollars? A circulated 1987D nickel is worth face value, 5 cents. An uncirculated example without full steps in MS65 might trade for a few dollars to collectors building type sets. But the moment you introduce full steps into that equation, the math changes in a dramatic way. MS65 full steps examples of the 1987D have realized auction prices in the range of $4,000 to $7,000 at major venues. Push that into MS66 full steps territory, and you are looking at values that stretch comfortably into the $10,000 range. PCG's certified MS67 full steps examples of this date, when they appear at auction, have generated bidding wars that produce results north of $20,000, because the certified population at that grade with full steps is essentially a handful of coins across the entire country. Error coins from the 1987D also deserve attention here. Double die obverse varieties on this date, showing clear doubling in the inscriptions or on Jefferson's portrait, have been documented and catalogued, and certified examples with strong doubling have sold for prices ranging from $2,000 to $8,000 depending on grade and the visual impact of the doubling. Off-center strikes and major planche errors from this Denver issue have also crossed auction blocks at Heritage and Stack's Bowers at values that leave casual observers absolutely floored. If you have got any 1987D nickels in your collection, and most American coin collectors do, because this is not a rare coin in circulated form, the single most important thing you can do right now is look at those Monticello steps under magnification. Because hiding inside what looks like an ordinary Denver nickel from 1987 could be a full steps gem that represents thousands of dollars in certified value. That is the magic and the madness of Jefferson Nickels, and we are just getting started. Coming up at number 8, we are going back to the Philadelphia Mint for a coin from 1982 that carries one of the most fascinating production stories in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series. a coin where specific die varieties and the transitional nature of early 1980s mint production created something genuinely special for the collectors who know exactly what to look for. Number 8 is going to hit different. Get ready, coin hunters. Next up, number 8 brings us to the 1982 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint. And this is a coin that sits at a genuinely fascinating crossroads in American numismatic history. 1982 was a year of transition in so many ways, and for coin collectors, that year produced some of the most talked about varieties and error coins across multiple denominations. The Jefferson Nickel from Philadelphia in 1982 carries no mint mark, which is standard for Philadelphia nickels of this era before the P-mint mark was adopted for this denomination in the early 1980s. And that no mint mark status combined with the specific production environment of 1982 creates a combination that serious collectors have been chasing for years. Let us set the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1982. The Mint was operating under significant pressure to meet coinage demand for a recovering American economy, and the production volumes for 5-cent pieces were substantial. But within that large mintage, something interesting was happening at the die level that created varieties and anomalies that numismatists are still cataloging and evaluating today. The 1982 Philadelphia Nickel came in varieties distinguished by subtle but significant differences in the size of the date numerals on the obverse, and these die varieties, when certified and attributed by PCGS or NGC, carry premiums that transform what looks like a common coin into something genuinely collectible. The full step story for the 1982 P-nickel is one of the most compelling in the series. The population of full step certified examples in high mint state grades is remarkably thin given the original mintage figures, and that disparity between how many were made and how few survived in pristine condition is exactly the kind of supply-demand equation that drives auction prices into the stratosphere.
An MS-65 full steps example of the 1982 no mint mark Philadelphia Nickel has realized auction prices in the range of $5,000 to $9,000 at heritage auctions when the coin presents beautifully and carries a sharp, clean full steps designation from PCGs or NGC. In MS-66 full steps, the numbers climb higher, and documented auction results show examples selling in the range of $12,000 to $18,000 when the coins come to market with strong eye appeal and top-tier certification.
Error coinage from 1982 Philadelphia is an entire subchapter within Jefferson Nickel, collecting that deserves its own spotlight. The double die varieties documented for this date show clear, dramatic doubling that is visible to the naked eye on strong examples. And those coins have commanded prices from $3,000 on the low end of the certified spectrum to well over $10,000 for the finest known examples. Die cap errors, broad strikes, and wrong planche errors from this year and this mint have also produced some of the most dramatic realized prices in the modern Jefferson Nickel error market, with individual pieces crossing at values that rival what some collectors pay for entire collections of common date material. The face value of this coin is 5 cents. The potential value of the right example, the right variety, the right grade, the right designation, is measured in the thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. That gap is what makes coin collecting one of the most thrilling treasure hunts in American hobby culture. And the 1982 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel sits right at the heart of that excitement. Now at number 7, we are heading back a few years to a date that has quietly become one of the most sought-after Philadelphia mint nickels of the entire late 1970s era. The 1978 Philadelphia Nickel has a story that involves strike quality, collector demand, and an auction market that has been steadily climbing for years. Number 7 is a coin that every serious Jefferson Nickel collector has on their radar, and when you hear the certified values attached to the finest known examples, you are going to understand exactly why. Next up, coin hunters, now we are landing at number 7 is the 1978 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, a coin that carries no mint mark and carries something far more interesting than that small metallic identifier, which is a reputation among advanced Jefferson Nickels specialists as one of the genuinely difficult dates to find in full steps condition. The late 1970s were an interesting period for American coinage production. The mint system was under pressure, die quality was inconsistent across different production runs, and the result for collectors hunting top-grade, full steps Jefferson Nickels from this era is a landscape where certain dates are plentiful in the highest grades, while others are stubbornly, maddeningly scarce. The 1978 Philadelphia nickel falls firmly in the scarce category when you start talking about full steps. The Monticello reverse on this date was notoriously prone to weakness in the steps area, and finding a fully struck example where all 5 or 6 steps are complete, sharp, and separated is a challenge that has frustrated collectors and dealers alike for decades. When you look at population reports from PCGS and NGC for this date in MS65 full steps and above, the certified numbers tell a story of genuine scarcity that the original mintage figures would never lead you to expect. In terms of actual dollar values, the 1978 no mint mark Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel in MS65 full steps has produced auction results in the range of $6,000 to $11,000 at major auction houses. And that range reflects both the genuine difficulty of the date and the consistent demand from collectors building registry sets and full Jefferson Nickel collections at the highest grade levels. MS66 full steps examples, when they surface at heritage auctions or Stack's Bowers, have generated results that push well past $15,000. And the finest known examples in the very highest mint state grades with full steps carry values that serious numismatists discuss in the $20,000 to $30,000 range based on comparable auction performances and dealer asking prices for certified specimens. What makes the 1978 Philadelphia nickel especially interesting from an investment perspective is the relative consistency of demand. Unlike some series where collector interest cycles in and out, the Jefferson Nickel full steps market has shown remarkable staying power, driven by a passionate collecting community and the ongoing challenge of assembling complete date and mint sets in the highest grades. The 1978 Philadelphia date is one of those coins that every serious builder of this series needs to confront eventually, and when they do, they find a market that is not going to discount this date anytime soon. Error varieties from 1978 Philadelphia add another layer of excitement. Repunch date varieties have been documented for this year, and certified examples of strong RPD errors have traded at prices ranging from $1,500 to $5,000. Doubled die varieties, while scarcer than on some other dates, also exist and carry significant premiums when certified and attributed. This is a coin that rewards careful examination, and the reward for that examination can be measured in thousands of dollars. Coming up at number 6, we are making a significant jump deeper into the blue chip territory of this countdown. The next coin on our list is from Denver, from the early 1970s, and it carries a reputation in Jefferson Nickels circles that has been building for years. Number 6 is the kind of coin that shows up at major coin shows with a price tag that stops traffic. And when you understand the full step story behind it, you will know exactly why that price tag is completely justified. Next up, coin hunters at number 6. We arrive at the 1973 D Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint, and this is a coin that occupies a very specific and very important place in the hearts and wallets of serious Jefferson Nickel collectors. 1973 was a year that produced some genuinely fascinating coinage across the board at both the Philadelphia and Denver Mints, and the Denver Mint's nickel production that year created a coin that has proven to be one of the most challenging dates in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series when you are hunting for full steps examples in the highest mint state grades. The Denver Mint in the early 1970s was producing nickels at a ferocious pace, and the sheer volume of production was taking a toll on die quality. The steps on Monticello, that critical reverse detail that separates a common circulated nickel from a coin worth thousands of dollars, were frequently showing weakness on Denver-struck nickels of this era because the dies were being pushed hard and the striking pressures were not always delivering the full, crisp impressions needed to bring up all the step detail. For the 1973D specifically, the combination of heavy production volume and inconsistent die quality created a situation where full-step certified examples are genuinely rare across the entire certified population. Pull up the PCGS or NGC population report for the 1973D Jefferson Nickel with full steps in MS65 and above, and the numbers are going to tell you a story about scarcity that is completely at odds with how ordinary and common this date feels when you encounter it in circulated form. Circulated examples are worth face value. But a certified MS65 full steps 1973D has commanded auction prices at Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers in the range of $7,000 to $13,000, and that is not an outlier result. That reflects the consistent, sustained demand from collectors who understand what this date represents in the context of the full Jefferson Nickels series. For MS66 full steps examples, the conversation shifts to a different level entirely. The certified population at MS66 FS for the 1973D is extraordinarily thin, and when these coins appear at auction, the bidding reflects the reality that what is on the block represents one of a very small number of known examples at that grade with that designation. Results for MS66 full steps 1973D nickels have ranged from $18,000 to well over $30,000 at major auction events. And the competitive bidding that drives those results comes from advanced collectors and registry set builders who know exactly how difficult this date is to find at this level. The error market for the 1973D is also worth discussing, because this date has produced some notable die varieties and strike anomalies that have been chased by variety collectors for years. Double die varieties for the 1973D showing clear evidence of hub doubling in the date and inscriptions have been certified and attributed by PCGs. And strong examples in mint state grades have sold for prices in the $3,000 to $8,000 range. Off-metal and wrong planchy errors from Denver production in this period, while not date-specific in the traditional sense, have also commanded serious prices when attributed to this era of production. Face value, 5 cents. Certified top-grade full steps value, potentially over $30,000. That is the Jefferson Nickel world in its full, magnificent, jaw-dropping reality. Number 5 is coming up next, and it is another Denver coin, this time from just 1 year earlier. And the story it carries is in some ways even more compelling than the 1973D because of the specific circumstances of its production year and the collector demand that has surrounded it for decades. Get ready, because number 5 is going to hit hard. Next up, coin hunters at number 5 on our countdown is the 1972D Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint, and this coin has been generating serious conversation in numismatic circles for years. Driven by a combination of genuine scarcity in top grades, an active and passionate collector base, and auction results that consistently remind the hobby that early 1970s Denver nickels are not to be taken lightly. 1972 was a pivotal year in American history and in American coin production, and the Denver Mint's output that year created a date that sits near the top of every serious Jefferson Nickel collector's most wanted list. The story of the 1972D in the full steps market is one of the most dramatic in the entire series. The production conditions at Denver in 1972 echo what we discussed about the 1973D. With high volume, hard-working dies, and inconsistent strike quality conspiring to leave the vast majority of business strike examples with weak or incomplete step detail. But the 1972D takes the scarcity story one step further, because when you examine the certified population for this date in MS65 full steps and higher, the numbers that come back are even more sobering than what you see for the 1973D. The real-world dollar impact of that scarcity is dramatic. An MS-65 Full Steps 1972D Jefferson Nickel at Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers is not a coin that trades quietly. It generates attention and bidding from some of the most serious collectors in the Jefferson Nickel specialty, and the realized prices reflect that competitive environment. Auction results for MS-65 FSRS examples of the 1972D have ranged from $8,000 to $15,000, and those results have shown a consistent upward trend as the certified population remains stubbornly small while collector demand continues to grow. In the MS-66 Full Steps tier, the 1972D becomes one of the genuine blue-chip coins in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series. Certified examples at this level have sold for prices ranging from $25,000 to $45,000 when they surface at major auctions, and the competition for these coins when they appear on the market is intense in a way that reflects not just their rarity, but the prestige associated with owning the finest known examples of such a challenging date. Registry set collectors pursuing the top spots on PCGS and NGC leaderboards know that the 1972D in MS-66 FS is one of the keys that separates a good Jefferson Nickel collection from a truly exceptional one. Error varieties for the 1972D also deserve serious attention from collectors who are not primarily focused on the registry set market. Double die obverse varieties documented for this date have been certified and attributed by the major grading services. And strong examples in high mint state grades have realized prices from $4,000 to well over $10,000 at auction. The combination of variety attribution and high grade in an already scarce state creates a coin that represents the pinnacle of the Jefferson Nickel error and variety market. 5 cents face value. $45,000 and beyond in certified top grade. The gap between those two numbers is the entire story of why serious collectors study this series with the intensity that they do. Now at number 4, we are stepping back even further in time to a year and a Philadelphia Mint issue that has been one of the anchors of the Jefferson Nickel series since collectors first started seriously studying and assembling these coins. Number 4 is a date with a long history in the hobby, dramatic auction results, and a full steps population that makes the coins we have discussed so far look almost common by comparison. You are not going to want to miss the number 4 reveal. Next up, Coin Hunters at number 4. We land on the 1964 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, and this coin deserves every bit of its prestigious position near the top of this list. 1964 holds a special place in American numismatic history as the last year before the transition away from silver coinage across multiple denominations, and while the Jefferson Nickel was never struck in silver in the traditional sense during this period, the collector fever that surrounded 1964 coinage in general created extraordinary hoarding and saving behavior that saved millions of coins from circulation. Yet despite all of that saving, the 1964 Philadelphia Nickel in full steps at the highest grade levels remains one of the most genuinely scarce coins in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series. The paradox of the 1964 Philadelphia Nickel is one of the most fascinating puzzles in American numismatics. You had a year with enormous mintage, enormous collector awareness, enormous saving of coins directly from mint bags and rolls, and yet the full steps population in the highest mint state grades is remarkably thin. How does that happen? The answer lies in the die quality and strike pressure realities of Philadelphia mint production in 1964, where the steps on Monticello were consistently being struck with just enough weakness to deny full steps designation to coin after coin that otherwise presents as a beautiful, brilliant gem specimen. Finding a 1964 Philadelphia Nickel where all the step detail is fully realized, sharp, and complete is a challenge that has humbled collectors and dealers for decades. When you start discussing real dollar values for the 1964 Philadelphia Nickel in full steps grades, the numbers command respect and attention. MS65 full steps examples of this date have traded at heritage auctions and Stack's Bowers at values ranging from $10,000 to $18,000, and that price range reflects both the certified scarcity and the enduring demand from collectors who view this date as an absolute cornerstone of any serious Jefferson Nickel collection. The 1964 date resonates with American coin collectors in a way that transcends pure numismatics, because it sits at such an important historical moment, and that resonance drives demand in a way that purely statistical analysis cannot fully capture. For MS66 full steps examples, the 1964 Philadelphia Nickel enters truly elite territory. Documented auction results and private sale records for MS66 FSS examples of this date have produced prices ranging from $30,000 to over $60,000, depending on the specific coin, the eye appeal, and the competitive dynamics of the particular auction session in which the coin appeared. These are not hypothetical numbers. These are actual realized prices from actual auctions conducted by major houses, representing actual transactions between serious numismatists who understand exactly what they are buying and paying accordingly. The error coinage associated with the 1964 Philadelphia Nickel adds yet another dimension to this coin's collectible story. Proof-like business strike examples showing cameo contrast have been collected and preserved, and the combination of proof-like surfaces with full steps designation creates a coin that occupies a unique space in the market. Double die varieties, repunch dates, and other die anomalies from this high production year have been certified and attributed, and strong examples command prices from $5,000 to over $15,000 in the variety market. The face value is 5 cents. A pristine certified example with full steps designation in the finest known grades is worth enough to fund a college semester. Welcome to Jefferson Nickel country. Number 3 is coming up, and we are going back to the very beginning of the series we have been exploring today. Number 3 takes us to the early 1960s and a Philadelphia mint date that has produced some of the most jaw-dropping auction results in the entire Jefferson Nickel series. When you find out what this coin has sold for at Heritage and Stack's Bowers, you are going to sit down and re-examine every 1961 nickel you have ever touched. Stay with us. Next up. Coming in at number 3 is the 1961 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, a coin that has quietly built one of the most impressive auction track records of any date in the modern Jefferson Nickel series, and yet still manages to surprise collectors who are discovering it for the first time. The early 1960s Philadelphia Nickels occupy a special tier in Jefferson Nickel collecting, because the mint production environment of that era, combined with the limited collector awareness of the time, means that pristine, high-grade full-step survivors are extraordinarily rare, and the market for those survivors is extraordinarily active. 1961 was a year when most Americans were not yet thinking carefully about saving coins for their numismatic potential. The coin-collecting boom that would sweep the country in the mid-1960s had not yet fully arrived, and the vast majority of 1961 Philadelphia Nickels went straight into circulation and started the long process of being worn down by daily commerce. The small fraction that survived in high mint state grades were largely the product of chance, of mint bag savers who happened to be prescient, of bankroll openers who got lucky, and of early collectors who were paying attention before the crowd showed up. That means the population of high-grade full steps examples of the 1961 Philadelphia Nickel is not just thin, it is genuinely microscopic relative to the collector demand that exists for this date. When you go to the PCGS or NGC population reports and look at MS66 full steps for the 1961 no mint mark nickel, you are looking at population numbers that can be counted on one hand for the highest certified grades. And when population numbers are that small and collector demand is that large, what happens to auction prices is entirely predictable. MS-65 full steps examples of the 1961 Philadelphia nickel have realized prices at heritage auctions in the range of $12,000 to $22,000, and those results represent coins that generate fierce competitive bidding from advanced collectors who understand what they are looking at. For MS-66 full steps examples, the price records are genuinely staggering, with documented auction results showing coins selling for $40,000 to over $75,000 at major auction events. These are Jefferson Nickels, 5-cent coins, selling for $75,000 and more. That is the full, beautiful madness of this hobby at its highest expression. The error and variety market for the 1961 Philadelphia nickel is also vibrant and well documented. Repunched date varieties and double die varieties from this year have been cataloged, certified, and sold at auction for prices ranging from $3,000 to $12,000 in high mint state grades. The combination of variety attribution and high grade on an already scarce date creates auction results that are impossible to predict in advance, because the bidder pool for these unique specimens includes both variety specialists and registry set builders who are each willing to pay significant premiums for the same coin for entirely different reasons. 5 cents face value, $75,000 and beyond at the certified peak. The 1961 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel is not just a coin, it is a trophy. Coin Hunters number 2 is about to be revealed, and we promise you that the coin at number 2 on this list has earned its position in a way that very few modern Jefferson Nickels have. The number 2 date carries a reputation for scarcity, a documented auction history of extraordinary results, and a place in the collecting community that is as secure as any coin in the series. You are 2 coins away from our number 1, and both of the remaining entries are going to make your jaw drop. Number 2 is coming right now. Next up, at number 2, we have the 1960 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint, and this coin is one of the genuine legends of modern Jefferson Nickel collecting. If you have followed everything we have said about the 1961 Philadelphia Nickel, and you thought those values were impressive, the 1960 date is going to recalibrate your entire understanding of what a 5-cent coin can be worth. This is a date that collectors have been chasing in high grades for decades, a date that consistently produces some of the most dramatic auction results in the series, and a date that represents the kind of numismatic challenge that separates casual collectors from serious students of the Jefferson Nickel series. The story of the 1960 Philadelphia Nickel in high-grade full steps condition begins with the same production realities we have discussed for other early 1960s dates, but amplifies them in a way that makes this particular coin even more scarce than the years that surrounded it. The Philadelphia Mint in 1960 was producing nickels in large quantities, but the die quality and striking consistency needed to produce sharp, complete Monticello step detail was simply not there across the board, and the result is a certified population for full steps examples in high mint state grades that is among the thinnest in the entire Jefferson Nickel series. When numismatists talk about key dates in the Jefferson Nickel full steps world, the 1960 Philadelphia issue is a coin that commands immediate respect. It is referenced in major numismatic publications, discussed at length at coin shows and club meetings, and represented consistently in the want lists of the most advanced Jefferson Nickel specialists in the country. The demand for this date in MS-65 full steps and above is not a passing trend. It reflects a genuine and sustained recognition of how difficult this coin is to find at the level where it crosses from collectible to extraordinary. The dollar values attached to the 1960 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel in top grades are among the most impressive in the series. MS-65 full steps examples have realized auction prices at heritage auctions and Stack's Bowers in the range of $15,000 to $28,000, and those results reflect competitive bidding from collectors who have been looking for this coin for years and are not going to let an opportunity pass when one finally surfaces. In MS66 full steps, the 1960 Philadelphia Nickel has generated auction results ranging from $50,000 to over $90,000, with the finest known examples at this grade level representing some of the most coveted coins in the entire modern series. That number deserves to be stated again plainly. A 1960 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel, a 5-cent coin that was made in the millions, has sold for over $90,000 when certified by PCGS or NGC in MS66 full steps with exceptional eye appeal. That is not a mistake. That is not an outlier. That reflects the cold, hard reality of what scarcity combined with demand does to coin values in the certified market. Error varieties for the 1960 Philadelphia Nickel are equally exciting for the collectors who specialize in that area. Double die varieties, repunch date attributions, and significant strike anomalies have all been documented for this date. And strong certified examples of the most dramatic varieties have traded for prices from $5,000 to over $20,000 in the variety-focused segment of the market. This is a coin that rewards study from every angle, and the rewards it delivers are measured in money that would make most people stop and pay very serious attention. Face value, 5 cents. Top certified value, touching and exceeding 6 figures. The 1960 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel is the kind of coin that reminds every collector why they fell in love with this hobby in the first place. Now we are here. We have counted down from 10 through 9 Denver and Philadelphia nickels that have produced values ranging from thousands to tens of thousands to approaching 6 figures at major auction houses. And all of that has been building to this moment. Number 1 on our list is a coin with a story that goes back to the very beginning of the period we are covering today. A Philadelphia mint date from 1959 that sits at the absolute pinnacle of the modern Jefferson Nickel full steps market and carries certified auction values that have made it the undisputed king of this series. This is number 1. This is the 1959 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel. And it is everything. Last one. The most valuable, the most exciting, the most dramatic. Coin number 1. And here we are, at the very top of our countdown, and the coin that has earned the number 1 position on this list is the 1959 Jefferson Nickel from the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark, no silver, no rare alloy. Just an ordinary 5-cent piece from a Philadelphia Mint production run in 1959, and yet this coin, this specific date and mint combination, is one of the most valuable, most sought-after, most passionately collected coins in the entire modern Jefferson Nickel series. Understanding why requires understanding everything we have been building toward throughout this entire video, and when you put it all together, the 1959 Philadelphia Nickel makes complete and total sense as the number 1 coin on this list. 1959 was the very beginning of the era we have been exploring today. It was a year when virtually no one was thinking seriously about saving Jefferson Nickels for their future numismatic value. The coin collecting community in America in 1959 was active and growing. But the systematic study and collection of Jefferson Nickels by date, mint mark, and full steps designation had not yet developed into the sophisticated specialty it would become. That means the population of 1959 Philadelphia nickels that survived in high mint state grades with full steps intact is not just thin. It is so thin that some specific grade and designation combinations at PCGS and NGC show certified populations that can be counted on the fingers of a single hand. Think about what that means. Millions of 1959 Philadelphia nickels were produced. They went into circulation, into change jars, into vending machines, into parking meters, into the everyday economic fabric of American life in the late 1950s and early 1960s. A tiny fraction of those original coins survived in anything approaching mint state. and of those mint state survivors, only an infinitesimal number present with the full, sharp, complete step detail on the Monticello reverse that earns the full steps designation. The certified population at MS65 full steps and above for the 1959 Philadelphia Nickel is one of the smallest in the series for any date from this era, and that scarcity is absolute and immovable. No more will ever be made. No more will suddenly appear. What exists in the certified population is what exists, and it is not enough to satisfy the demand from serious collectors who understand what this date represents. The auction results for the 1959 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel in full steps grades are the most dramatic in the series. MS65 full steps examples of this date have realized auction prices at Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers ranging from $20,000 to $35,000, and those prices reflect coins that generate the kind of bidding war that auction house specialists love to document, because it illustrates the market's true depth and passion. When a truly exceptional 1959 Philadelphia Nickel in MS66 full steps comes to auction, the results have ranged from $70,000 to over $100,000 in documented auction records, making this a coin that has officially crossed the six-figure threshold in certified numismatic value, $100,000. For a Jefferson Nickel. For a coin with a face value of 5 cents. For a coin that was made in the millions and spent freely across America in the Eisenhower era. That number is not an anomaly or an urban legend. It is the documented, certified, publicly recorded result of what happens when the scarcest full steps Jefferson Nickel in the series meets the most competitive group of advanced collectors in America at a major auction event. It is the ultimate expression of what this hobby can produce when date scarcity, grade rarity, and passionate collector demand all converge on the same coin at the same moment. The error market for the 1959 Philadelphia Nickel adds still more dimension to an already extraordinary story. Double die varieties documented for this date, showing clear evidence of hub doubling in the obverse design elements, have been certified and attributed by PCGS and NGC, and top-grade certified examples of these varieties have sold for prices ranging from $8,000 to over $25,000 in the variety-focused collector market. The combination of a major recognized variety, a challenging date, and a high mint state grade creates a coin whose value is essentially whatever the most determined collector in the room is willing to pay. 5 cents. $100,000. The 1959 Philadelphia Jefferson Nickel is the #1 coin on this list, the #1 key to the modern Jefferson Nickel full step series, and the #1 reminder that the most extraordinary treasures in American numismatics do not always announce themselves with flashy designs or precious metal compositions. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, in the 5-cent pieces that have been passing through American hands for generations, waiting for the right collector to look closely enough to see what is really there. Final thoughts. And that is our complete countdown of the 10 Jefferson Nickels that could be hiding in your collection right now, worth thousands and thousands of dollars. From the 1996 P at number 10, all the way up to the legendary 1959 Philadelphia at number 1, every single coin on this list is proof that the Jefferson Nickels series is one of the deepest, most exciting, and most financially rewarding areas of American coin collecting that exists anywhere in the hobby today. The full steps market, the era variety market, the certified registry set community, all of it comes together to create a universe of 5-cent coins that can be worth more than most people spend on a car. If you found this video valuable, if you learned something today that is going to change the way you look at the nickels in your collection, there is one thing we need you to do right now before you check a single coin, and that is to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video from this channel. We cover the most valuable, most collectible, most fascinating American coins every single week, and the information we share here is the kind of knowledge that coin dealers charge serious money to access. It is all free right here on this channel, because this community of collectors deserves the best research and the most honest information available anywhere. Subscribe right now. Share this video with every coin collector you know. And start checking your Jefferson Nickels, because the most valuable nickel you will ever own might already be in your possession. We will see you in the next video.